From WFRV Local 5, your local election headquarters. This is Newsmaker Sunday.
Good morning. Thank you for joining us for Newsmaker Sunday. I'm Tom Zalaski. Well, the primary election has passed, and now we have our match to replace Congressman Mike Gallagher in the 8th District after his resignation earlier this year. The race for Congress this November will be between Democrat Kristen Lyerly and Republican Tony Weed, who defeated Roger Roth and Andre Jacques this past August. And joining us this morning, the victor in that Republican primary, congressional candidate Tony Weed, with us once again. Tony, good to have you with us again. Thanks for joining us.
Well, it's great to be here, Tom.
Well, first of all, congratulations on the victory. You won by a margin with 40% of the vote against two fairly well-known names. Did the margin of victory surprise you?
Well, you know, it was an honor to have the support and the vote of the people of District 8 in the Republican Party, and it was a lively and spirited debate with my two opponents, Roger and Andre, and again, it's an honor that people trust me in being the Republican nominee, and I'm looking forward to working with Roger and Andre and uniting this Republican Party and winning in November.
So in that election cycle that you went through with those guys, you had Andre Jacques, current state senator, Roger Roth, former state senator, two guys with a lot of name recognition. You came out of nowhere. What did it for you? Was it your message? Was it your Trump endorsement? Was it something those two were not offering? From your view, where do you think you won?
Well, it was a variety of things, but ultimately I'm coming in with a business background. And, you know, my wife Angela and I ran a small business right here in Northeast Wisconsin for almost 30 years. And I think people, you know, look to that as somebody that can solve problems day in and day out. And, you know, basically I was somebody that was from the outside, and I think people like that fresh perspective as well. And both Roger and Andre were great candidates, very qualified, and it was definitely an enjoyment to get to know them and work with them and compete. And again, now that this is over and the voters made the decision, we are united together. And again, we're going to come together as a united Republican Party and look forward to a win in November.
How much did the Trump endorsement play in your victory, do you think?
Well, the endorsement from President Trump is an honor of a lifetime, and I think it was a big difference. And you know, people are looking for change right now in Washington and in this country. They see the rising inflation that we see right now. And, you know, the government reports 20%, but as I talk to people, it's 30, 40, even 50% rise in prices in the grocery store. We're seeing the chaos at the southern border that this administration is continuing to let happen, and then the instability around the world. And people are ready for a change. And President Trump is a proven leader over his 4 years in office. And I think, yes, that did help. Again, it was an honor to have his endorsement, and I'm very supportive of President Trump and will be an ally for him.
And I take it you're still going to use that endorsement heavily in the upcoming race against Kristen Lyerly.
Oh, absolutely. Again, people are looking for change right now, and I want to be that change here in the district and truly solve the problems that people are facing right now, and many of it's caused by the current administration that we have. And, you know, I ask people, are you better off today than you were 4 years ago? And I continue to hear it's a resounding no. So people want that change. We need President Trump and his leadership right now in this country, and I'm going to continue to support him and help him get elected in November.
So you were talking about Andre Jacques and Roger Roth, and that you've been working together. So I take it you've heard from them beyond their concession speeches on primary election night?
Yes. So again, you know, our focus as a group, and we agreed to this during the primary election. And again, it was a very difficult, it was a very lively and spirited debate in the primary with the three of us. And absolutely, again, we're united as Republicans right now. And you know, our goal is to keep a Republican in this seat.
So I take it no holds barred, they are backing you.
Absolutely.
They are. You have their support.
Yes, I do.
All right. We are back with Tony Weed right after this, so please stay with us. And welcome back. Our guest this morning, Republican congressional candidate Tony Weed. Before we go further with the politics, Tony, your background, the Tony Weed resume, if you will, as far as your business background goes.
Well, look, I was born in Lincoln, Nebraska. My parents went to school there. My dad played football at the University of Nebraska. So I was born in 1976. Those were really good years for Nebraska football back then. 3 months later, after I was born, moved back to Green Bay, where my parents and grandparents and great-grandparents were from. And I went to public schools through 8th grade. I decided to go to a Catholic high school, Notre Dame Academy, right here in Green Bay. Then decided to go to St. Norbert College, another great Catholic institution where I also played football. So Angela and I, we got married. We met in college. We got married about a year after college. And then we started to get into convenience stores and gas stations. And so we did that for almost 30 years. And Angela and I have always been a team. Our number one job in life was to be a good spouse and a good parent. But then ultimately we worked together on our business, and we were blessed to be able to sell our business 2 years ago.
Sure. As you mentioned earlier in the show, the economy, a big issue in this election, not just locally here, but also nationally. With you, if you are elected, is that business background something that will help you to deal with that issue? I mean, what can you bring to the table?
Well, running a small business where you have to make every single decision in the business. Fortunately, I was a partner with my wife, and we both really leaned into each of our strengths. But running a small business, you have to really be strong, and you have to make really tough decisions day in and day out. And with things like the economy and the issues that we're dealing with at the national level, just having a budget, making sure that we're going line by line in our budget day in and day out, looking at every single expense, finding ways of growing our revenue in order to have a successful business. Those same principles, I feel we can take to Congress and to our United States of America and truly make a difference and solve problems.
Biggest difference in your view between you and your opponent, Kristen Lyerly?
Well, there's a stark contrast between me and my opponent. I think, my opponent is a rubber stamp really for the Biden-Harris administration. And, I'm the only person, in this race also that has successfully run a business and run a small business for a very long time with my wife and I. And, I'm somebody, and my wife included, where we really work hard to attack problems. The problems that people are facing every day, we did that in our business. Where my opponent tends to attack people, saying things and, lying and different types of things towards me. And, that's not something that we've ever really done. We like to spend our time and attack problems day in and day out, and that's what the people of District 8 want.
All right, let me ask you on the flip side. Is Tony Weed a rubber stamp for the Trump administration?
I'm going to look at every single thing. I've always taken a pragmatic approach. I am truly working for people here in District 8. I agree with President Trump on the major issues as it relates to the economy. And the way, if you hear his speeches and his policy with the economy, it worked. And it worked while he was in office for 4 years. I'm also in agreement with things like the border and truly securing the border. When he was in office, we had a major reduction in border crossings, which really helps prevent criminal activity and drugs and sex trafficking and so forth. And in addition, I'm in agreement with him on stability around the world. He's a proven leader to prevent wars and not have these wars that are ravaging in the Middle East and over in Eastern Europe. So President Trump and I are aligned on all the major issues, but I will be available, and I will have some debate if needed in order to truly represent the people here in District 8.
We have much more to come with Tony Weed, congressional candidate, so please stay with us. Welcome back to Newsmaker Sunday. Our guest this morning, Republican 8th Congressional District candidate Tony Weed. Turning to your website, several issues we have mentioned a little bit here. How will you help in securing that southern border if elected?
Yeah, what's happened in the last 3.5 years during the Biden and Harris administration is a tragedy. The border is completely overrun, and we're seeing things like criminality and drugs and sex trafficking and all of the elements that are coming with not knowing who's crossing our border. We're seeing over 15 million people probably that have come across this border. And what we need to do is get back to the basics of what President Trump did when he was in office. One, of course, we need to build that border wall and make sure that we have the funding to do that. I believe strongly in President Trump's Remain in Mexico policy, which doesn't allow for people to cross the border and then apply for asylum. And I think that really reduced the border crossings by almost 90%. And I think we need to really fund, the ICE, the Border Patrol, the ICE organization and agencies to make sure that they have the proper funding and leadership in order to truly secure that border. That's a priority for me, and I will work hard with President Trump to do that.
All right, your explanation to the border bill that we had, it was a bipartisan bill that Trump nixed. Why did he do that?
Well, I think, ultimately he had the solution during his administration with the Remain in Mexico policy and with continuing to build that border wall and with properly funding ICE and so forth. So again, I think it's, we have to look at the bill in its entirety. I don't have that in front of me right now, but ultimately I think we had the solution, it was working, and I think we need to get back to that.
Because there was the one side, Democratic side, that said he nixed it because it would make Joe Biden look good. There's a Republican side who said that bill didn't go far enough, and that's why it was nixed.
Yeah, and that's something that, me being in Congress and being a representative of the people here in District 8, I will look into it and do all the research necessary to make a good decision.
Controlling spending, another issue that you're big on. Where is it out of control in your view the most? Where is it hurting people the most?
Well, right now what we're dealing with is inflation, and inflation is truly a tax. And that comes from the reckless spending that we have in Washington right now. Our debt just continues to increase. We're at over $35 trillion in debt right now. We're going into debt $1 trillion every 100 days. And me being from a business background, a small business background, where my wife and I would go through our budget line by line, day in and day out, to make sure that we didn't have out of control spending. And I think we need to get back to that in the House of Representatives as we present spending bills and get to a single subject spending bill where we can actually debate each individual one and make good decisions for the American people. Because right now we're spending at a rate that is going to continue to cause inflation. And that's very difficult for those that are very poor and for those in the middle class.
What happened? You're a business guy. From the time Trump left office until now, why is there that inflation? What happened in layman's terms?
Well, I think it comes down to the economy. And I think we need to be energy independent in this country and really grow the natural, the industry of energy in our country. And I think that can be a major benefit to inflation and to our debt by unleashing the natural resources, being dominant in energy here. Things like opening up the Keystone Pipeline, pulling back regulations so that people can actually explore energy in our country. And we need to get into business of selling these natural resources to our friends and allies around the world. And I think, there's evidence of other states in our country that are doing very well with that. Places like North Dakota, New Mexico, and Texas that are doing very well, and it really helps their economy, and it's building up an endowment in their state. And we can do that at a national level, and I think that will be a big help.
So in the past 6 years, we, the United States, we pumped more crude than any other country. So what further needs to be done?
Well, again, I think we just need to be a leader and be dominant in energy, things like fracking and natural gas, and really looking at pulling back the regulations so that we can be in business. And talking with folks and governors in other states, when the Biden administration came in, regulations started to creep back up, and they weren't open for business in those states. And that's where something that I think we need to get government out of the way, do it in a safe way, but get back to the fracking, natural gas, and look at liquid fuels, and again, be dominant in this country.
All right, we hearken back to the Reagan administration, peace through strength, a phrase that all of us know if you're beyond 40 years old. Your view there, what's happening now? What would be different if you were in office?
Well, what we see right now is wars ravaging the Middle East and also in Eastern Europe. And I think a lot of that has to do with the lack of leadership in our administration right now with Kamala Harris and with Joe Biden. We need to get a strong leader like President Reagan, like President Trump, in order to be a leader in the world and have proper influence. But it comes down to us being a very secure country economically and militarily. And that's why I'm so passionate about getting our economy going and getting it on track, and also really working hard to make sure that our military is as strong as it can be.
We are back to wrap up with Tony Weed right after this, so stay right there. We are back now with Tony Weed, running for Congress in Wisconsin's 8th District. One of your campaign items is supporting Wisconsin agriculture. Where do you see the need for support? What are they not getting?
Well, agriculture is a driver of the economy here in District 8. We're the third largest congressional district for dairy. And so me, in making public service my sole mission, I want to get out, and I am getting out and meeting with farmers, small, medium, and large, and truly understanding what it is that they need from the federal government in order for them to be successful. And a lot of these farms, most of them are generational farms. They're second and third generation, and they're small businesses. And we need to find ways, in a lot of ways, of getting out of their way. They're very concerned about things like regulations and issues that they have to deal with. And I am willing to sit down with them and ultimately help them to make sure that they're successful.
Your opponent, I am quite sure, is going to hit you hard on the abortion issue. She is totally for. You are, I imagine, totally against. How are you going to fight that battle? Well, what is your argument there?
Well, Angela and I are, our greatest joy in life is our 4 children. They're all in college. One is now in grad school. And again, that's the greatest joy of our lifetime. And, the Supreme Court made the decision, and abortion is in the state's hands where it was before, and that's where it belongs.
Another issue on your website is again, your backing by Donald Trump, and you're encouraging people to support him as well. What will a second Trump term do for the average American? What's the country going to look like?
Well, again, we just look at what President Trump did in his 4 years in office. I ask people, like I said before, are you better off now than you were 4 years ago? And people are telling me no. And he was a great leader. Our economy was doing great. And ultimately, things like the border was, he had that under control to the best of his ability. He was the only president, I've heard presidents talk about securing the border for years and years, and he was really the only president that actually took that on and did a great job with securing the border. So I am very much aligned with President Trump on those major issues, and I think he is the leader that we need.
You are very well aware of Project 25, the 900-plus page document, the manifesto, so to speak. There are those who say that is going to hurt our democracy. Your answer to that?
Well, that is something that came from a think tank. I have not read that. That isn't something that President Trump wrote, and he's disavowed that. And, I'm happy to talk about any certain policy individually that may be in there, and I could give you my interpretation of that. But again, that's not something that I'm involved with. There's think tanks in Washington that come up with all kinds of different theories and policy type decisions. But again, I'm happy to talk about the issues that matter to the people here in District 8.
If and when you do get to Congress, what's top of list for you? What's topic A? What do you want to go and do there first?
Well, first and foremost, I am a representative, and I think it's important to listen to what matters to people here in this district. And what I continue to hear is people are taking it on the chin right now with rising prices. And I want to make sure that we grow this economy so that people aren't having to deal with the rising prices in the grocery store and things like that. Also making sure that we secure the border. I think that's extremely important right now. I hear from sheriffs and other people in law enforcement locally that are very concerned. And they're telling me, hey, we're in a border state. We're seeing the increase in drug flow and criminality that's coming up from that border. And ultimately, I think, just the instability around the world. I want to bring a pragmatic approach, try to really work on peace through strength around this world and prevent wars and bring wars to an end.
You're making quite the big jump from business to politics. You've never run for office before, I take it.
Correct.
Okay, so 30 years in business and you're making this jump. What was it? What was the trigger that made you, after you got rid of the dino stops, and you're sitting around the house doing what? I don't know, but you decided, I'm going to run for Congress?
Well, that's a great question, and I took a little bit of time after we sold our business. We had to close out loose ends of our business, but through I'm very centered in my faith, and I continue to pray on what it is that I can do going forward to do good in the world. What is my purpose? Where can I make the biggest difference in the world? And I continue to ask, what is my next step? And when Mike Gallagher decided that he was not going to run again, that was my sign. And I knew that it was time for me to make that step and make public service my sole mission. Look, I was in customer service. Angela and I were in customer service our whole life. And now we're moving into what we want to do is public service and truly make a difference in this world. And I'm doing it for my kids and my grandkids. I want to have a peaceful world, a world where the economy is good, where my kids and our grandkids can achieve and have the same American dream that I had. And the opportunities that I had. And I see that going away right now. Between
your first campaign for the primary election and now, what have you learned? Have there been any surprises, things you didn't expect?
Well, this was a great experience for me in a primary campaign, and going against two opponents that had been in politics for many years.
Yeah.
And I learned a lot. And you mature in life when you go through things and the experiences that you have and the struggles that you have. And I matured through my business experience. And I'm glad I'm at the point now and the age that I'm at and having those experiences that I had in my business. You learn from that, and I did that in this primary. And I think I've gotten stronger at things like public speaking, which I hadn't had a whole lot of experience with. But ultimately, just learning to communicate effectively with a larger audience has been a skill that I've enjoyed to learn. And ultimately, I just want to make public service my sole mission, be a really strong representative for the people here.
All right, Tony, I've got a minute for Tony Weed to give his campaign pitch as to why he should be elected to Congress.
Well, I am here truly to make public service my sole mission in life, and I continue to see, through this administration, these last 3.5 years, the issues that people are dealing with. Whether it's through the economy and the rising prices that people are dealing with, and they just don't understand. I see the criminality and the things coming up through our southern border, and the chaos and the destruction that is causing, and ultimately I see, just the instability around the world. And I want to be a strong leader, somebody that's a good role model for people right here in this district. And, listen to what matters here in District 8 and be a champion for the people right here.
All right, Tony Weed, thanks so much for coming on this morning.
Thank you.
Much appreciated. If you have a newsmaker in your town who you think we should have on this program, let us know about it. Send us an email to tips@wearegreenbay.com, or you can message us on Facebook. And be sure to join us once again Sunday morning at 7. Until then, have a great day.